Hey everybody, it's Lebo again with Lebo's Pinball. Working on Bankball. Last episode, we cleaned up the playfield. We replaced all the bands with some silicone bands, put some new plastic shooter lanes in, and again, just polished the playfield, waxed it, and moved from one end to the other. And the playfield's looking pretty good. It's about ready to go back in. I still have to actually put the orbit area here back in. Got to get the trough and the apron all done. No big deal to put that back. But it's time to go ahead and move on to a little bit of something different. So I've got the lock bar here, and I want to try to see if we can improve this a little bit. So this lock bar, it's got end caps here that are in pretty rough shape. I don't know if it's coming across in the video too well, but the chrome that's on there is really kind of deteriorated. Some of it's flaking off, and we want to address that. The other thing I wanted to point out is there's a lot of scratches all through the lock bar area, and I'd actually already started kind of experimenting around to see how well I could get some of that out. And what I'm actually using, I've got some Scotch-Brite, excuse me, I got some Scotch-Brite pads here with some different levels of coarseness, but it's all pretty fine stuff, really, overall. But I scrub those down just to get some of the deeper scratches out. And even when I say deep, we're talking, I mean, not very deep. Just something that we're trying to get this as mirror-like as possible. And that ain't gonna do it. I mean, that's gonna get a lot of the scratches out to where it's just so fine to where you take it to the next step, and the next step is a buffing wheel, which I've got kind of out of the camera. It's over on the side. But once we get a lot of the deep stuff out and we start buffing with the buffing wheel, it should start bringing the shine out. And that coupled with the brand new end caps, it should look a lot nicer than what it is. So let's get started, all right? Here we go. All right, so if you take a look at the lock bar, let's kind of focus in here a little closer. So here's a little more of a close-up to show what this end cap looks like. It's pretty rough. You've got the chrome that's starting to flake off and little pits all over the place, and it's just rough. And the replacement, so here's what the new one will look like. I mean, it is nice. So to get these off, what do you got to do? Now, flipping this over here, you can see that it's basically, it's kind of pressed on with there's clips that kind of retain it. The replacement piece, let's see if we got it. Yeah, here we go. So the new one it'll go right there in place of it, and it comes with these little clips that once you press them on, it holds it on there tight. It won't let go unless you really want to pull it off, and then it'll come off. But we're basically going to try to pull that clip off. This one's apparently already gone. That's why this thing's wobbling so much. The other end, it's the same deal. Looks like both the clips are actually on there. It's not wobbling quite as much, but still it's loose. So let's see if we can get this off. Might go pretty easy, or it might be a real pain. We're going to get it off. It's actually, oh wow, that's just breaking right apart. And well, that was pretty easy. All right, so with that off, now what we need to do is just, well, let's go and get the other one off. Let's get both sides off. See if this one is just as easy or more of a pain. Well, there's that one. This one's probably going to be a pain because this one looks like a newer style clip, which means the other one was rusting apart and falling off. Let's flip this around a little bit. I tell you what, the new ones have got the same style clip, which is a sign that it's going to hold on there really well. I've replaced a couple of these on a couple of games in the past. Not any problems. Oh man, this is a pain. All right, I'm gonna go work on this and try to get it off. All right, let's see. what we need to do. So I've resorted to the Dremel. I'm going to try to just cut that clip just to kind of put a little bit of a relief in there and see if that'll let it go. So here we go. Man, this thing's being difficult. Okay, I think we're getting a good cut now. Feels like it. Oh yeah, that had to been good. Let's see. Let's see if we can get it to pop now. Come on. And it's still not budging. What in the world? Get out of there. Oh wait, start. Yeah, we're starting to get a little bit of movement. Still, it's going to fight me the whole way. Let's see if this will move. No, still not. It's starting to come free. There we go. There we go, finally. Again, these are the style of clips that are coming with the new one, so that alone should be a good testament that how well they hold on. All right, so now that we got this off, we're wanting to basically, clean and polish this up as well as we can. So if you look at the surface here real close, there's all kinds of, like little scratches that kind of give this a haze. It's not awful, but, now's the time to try to really make this look nice. And again, this is the area, if I get further down here, there's fingerprints and all. But this is what I worked on a little bit. It's definitely a lot better. I mean, there's still going to be some scratches that you're just not going to be able to get out, but you can get it a lot closer to a mirror finish just by, carefully working up, working up the abrasive Scotch-Brite, and then going after it with a polishing compound on a buffing wheel to where you can bring this out. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to re-scrub the area that I worked on and this whole fresh area here, get it ready to go for the buffing wheel. To start out with, I'm going to use this. This is just a product from 3M. So these are the green Scotch-Brite or whatever pads, these abrasive pads. This one says, final stripping pads. I'm going to start out with that. And then I move over to this one, which is a little bit finer. It's like a, whatever you call that, 4-knot or whatever. Comparable to steel wool almost. So we'll give that a shot. That's what I used before when I was kind of doing a test before I went to the buffing wheel. So I've got one other pad that's a little bit more abrasive if I need to, but let's just start out with the green. Then I'm going to move to this one and see how that works out. So let's start with this. Okay, so where do we get with all that? So I do kind of like how it gives it this brushed finish, but we're trying to go for a mirrored polish. So if I look through here, I do still see like there's a little bit of a scratch. You can see a little bit there, one there. So I'm gonna go on it a little bit more with the green, but it has been smoothing out the surface, so we're definitely making progress. So let's keep moving ahead. Okay, looking at it again a little bit more. There's still, like right here, I see a tiny little scratch. It's definitely better, and I think I'm going to probably go ahead and start moving towards the towards that white pad to try to start smoothing it out a little bit more. But definitely making some improvements. All right, so let's just see how it's looking. So again, here's kind of that polished area we had before when I was doing testing. And here's the area that we were working on. Smoothed out a lot of it. Of course, you do see all the, the fine scratches from the abrasiveness of the pad. But I think it's now time to go try putting this on the buffing wheel and let's see what we get. All right, so I get my gloves on. This is my buffing wheel, and I've replaced this wheel a number of times. It just wears out over time. And I've got a number of different compounds that I've tried, and to be honest, I'm not an expert at all with this. This is basically like a jeweler's rouge that I've got a little bit left. And the last time I went to go buy this at our trusty Harbor Freight, they didn't have this brand anymore. And they had some other stuff, which is supposed to be the same. I think I tried that. I didn't quite get the same effect, so it must not be quite the same. But I've had pretty good luck out of this stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and try to throw a little bit of this on the pad, and then let's just see what happens with the lock bar. Let's get this thing up and spinning. There we go. All right. Let's see what happens. Grip it hard. All right, so we've made some progress. Just kind of give you guys an idea. So I've been using this, the stuff that was in the whatever the green, whatever this high polish finish. And it's definitely making some improvements. So I'm getting something that is a little more mirror-like. There's a little bit of a haze here still with it. If I rub this out with paper towel, part of it is just residue that's on there. I'm going to come back with another polishing compound and see if I can get that out a little bit more and just see where it goes. Here it is, right off the buffing wheel, again still with some of the residue from buffing it. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to take a little bit of rubbing alcohol and start to wipe this down and just see what it does. Of course, it looks super shiny now because it's wet, but as it wipes off, let's just see how it's looking. I'll tell you, already, it's actually looking pretty decent. Still a little bit of a cloudiness to it that I would like to get out a little bit more if I can. So here's the next thing I'm going to try. So the good old mothers. This is what I've used, like on those metal posts. I use it on pretty much anything metal that just needs to have a little bit of a polish to it. But something like a lock bar, you got to do what we just did because you got to get those deeper scratches out. So let's see what happens here. Let's buff this into it some. This stuff, it just turns black as you buff it. Let's see what it does. See if it's making much difference. It should. Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, I'm starting to really like this now. And I don't know how well you guys can really see it in the camera, let's see if I can get up here kind of close. Well, let's go to this area here. So through here, this is where we left off after the buffing wheel and wiping it down until right about this point here, it starts to transition over to a little bit more of a mirror-like finish. And maybe that's a good angle. Yeah, you can kind of see the haziness there. Yeah, see that's really starting to bring it out. So I'm going to finish this up, and then we're going to throw the caps on. All right, here we go. I think we're pretty well done. I'm pretty pleased with how this has turned out. This is one of these things that's a little hard to see in the camera, but in person it looks a lot better, even than what it's coming across here. So yeah, the final pass with the mothers to kind of buff everything out, and then a paper towel with some rubbing alcohol on here to wipe off all the residue. That really does matter. I actually had to go back and clean my hands real good because just handling this just puts lots of smudges and what looks like issues all over it. But you know, wiping it down with the rubbing alcohol that gets this mothers off of it after you've polished it, it's pretty good to go. So now next up is we're going to put these end caps on. They're basically will position on each end here, and we'll press in those little clips. So here we go. And to grind the end just a little bit because there was a little bit of an interference. The way this was casted was it was kind of interfering with the edge, but I put it back on the grinder, just kind of ground it down some, and now it fits on just fine. So it's nice and flat. Put this paper towel because I don't want to scratch anything. Let's get this on there. Just got a deep well socket here to try to push it down. First one. Second one. Oops. Look at that, already on there. Didn't even have to hammer it, just press them, and I mean it's on there tight. It's not coming loose. So undo the other end, and we'll be all done. All right, it's all done, and I'm just going to show you. Here's what it looks like compared to one that I haven't even started on yet. So this is the lock bar from North Star, which is the next game that I'm going to work on after I get the Pinball done. I'm going to shift over to this one, just kind of give you a little bit of a preview. But here you go. I mean, look at the luster on this compared to the one that I have not even started on. So it's definitely a major improvement. So there you go.